Hey everyone! All right, we're going to be looking at Daffodils at Dusk. This is our final image that we're going to be headed towards. It's kind of a color play of blue and yellow, thinking of complementary colors. We're going to deal with crazy bokeh, we're going to deal with weird stuff in the background, thoughts about position and cropping, a lot of fun things here. Daffodils are one of my favorite flowers, but they're starting to get a little spent in the garden, not pretty enough to do anything with, but I still like to, well, actually I really like it when they start to decay a lot. And then you can get some really interesting looks of dried flowers as they dry down, which I'm kind of excited to go pick them and then dry them upside down to photograph those later. But let's go into the behind the scenes here so you can see how this all worked. All right, so again, my husband was helping me. He's my faithful friend and helper. And we have an ice light here that is perched over the top of my little daffodil bed. And it was a struggle to figure out exactly how I wanted to light them. It was quite late in the afternoon. It was actually, well, actually it was dusk, which in the summer, early summer now, is about 8:30 or so. So everything gets later. I love to be outside, and so I lose track of time. Anyway, we moved it around, but this was basically the position that we stayed in. And then I just shot from the position that I shot this picture. You can see the ice light, the gelled ice light up there at the top. And it's pretty bright because I have the ISO up to 640. You can see that it's considerably brighter on my viewfinder here than it was in the pullback because I was lighting in the area a lot brighter. And I knew I would bring it down in post, but just to avoid noise and all of that, I like to expose to the right. I don't have the histogram on here, but it was pretty much exposed to the right. And now we're going to go into our edit. Let's look at some of the resulting images and see if there's anything that we can do with them to create a pretty edit. I think this one might go into multiple programs, so we'll just play it by ear here. All right, these are the images that I brought in, and so this is the behind the scenes that you saw in the video. And I actually really like this one a lot. I like how it looks. I like how it's lit, but it's a behind the scenes shot and I would have to crop in just tremendously to do anything with it. And then of course later I noticed just how much these little daffodils were decaying, which is nice. I mean, I think there's a lot of beauty that can be found in that. But I was clicking through and just looking for one that struck my fancy. And this is one that I liked. And let me go here. This is one that I really liked. And I think I've got two of them. Let me see here. There's that one, and I think this one is the same one maybe. Let me look back here. Yeah. Okay, so this one kind of had some weird stuff going on in it. The bokeh here is crazy. I don't even know what this thing is there. I know it's a daffodil, but I'm like, what is this shape? And I'm always really conscious of the shapes. But when I closed this down a little bit into a square and cropped off that, and then going in and just kind of upping the bottom of the curve on the lower left and then lowering the exposure just a little bit to soften everything, I actually didn't really mind it, and I like it actually. I'm not a fan of the thing in the background, but this is the deal that happens. Flowers, when they're in a group, if you're shooting them in situ, you're going to end up with stuff that's in the background that's weird. And you can have a $13,000 lens or a $5,000 lens, or, you can have lenses that will obliterate the background. But in the end, really, you're still dealing with the same thing. When you have masses of flowers together, you're going to get the neighbors showing up. Even if you have the most expensive lens ever, you might do a little better job of making those out of focus areas less distracting, but they're still going to be distracting. So I was coming around for a second look at this image, and I decided that maybe I want to go horizontal with the crop. I really like squares, but I'm trying harder to not be so committed to just squares. It's something that I love aesthetically, and I love to print squares, but it's not very conducive to video. And I actually really like printing stuff that are longer and skinnier like this. So I'm going through and thinking, well, maybe a 16 by 9 wouldn't be bad for this because it would look really kind of neat on a bigger screen. Or I can print it in a kind of a wide format. So 16 by 9 is a good one for me. I think I might keep this. So I'm going to just give this a crop and just think about it for a second. And I like it. I like that. I don't even know what I think about this. I think it's kind of in the way and I might clone it out. But I'm going to go over to Photoshop with this because I want to do my effect that I do where I make things a lot more smooth and creamy using the oil paint filter in Photoshop. But before I do, actually, I've already brought it over here, haven't I? Let me go back to Lightroom. Oops, that's one from before. What I'm going to do first is just double check on my color. I always forget to go into the profiles until later on. And I have a couple of presets that I've made for different projects, and I don't think I'm going to make a preset for this one. But I did want to just kind of go through some of the profiles that I've put together to see if any of them help minimize the distraction in the background. And this one's called Wanderer, and I can share it under this video. And it's just a profile that I made from a painting, an old painting. And I wanted to mimic it. And I kind of like how it has the cool background and the kind of sort of matte finish, but also it highlights the yellow. So I'm going to click on that, leave it there, hit back, and then I'm going to go with my brush and up, let's see, exposure a little bit. I just want to make the center really pop. The light is actually there already, so it's not like I'm cheating or anything. I'm going to increase the saturation to make the yellow really bright. And I think that's better. I like that better. Now I want to think about texture because I like to add texture to my images. So I'm going to close out the light panel, close out color, open up effects, and possibly grab a brush. I think I might use this as a brush. Just put it on and then move texture over. It's another form of sharpening. It separates the highlights from the darker areas and pulls them apart and makes it pop. And because I'm going to be using sort of a painterly effect here, I think it's going to work. And then let's go down to color. And I want to do something with the blue. What happens if I increase the saturation of the blues? I want to know what color is actually going on in the background. Is it purple or is it blue? Well, it's there. It's kind of happening in this area down here. Let me use the color picker and see what color it says it is. All right, well, I guess it says it's blue. So let's increase the saturation. It doesn't seem to make much difference though. I don't know. I think I'm going to clone this out, so I don't want to do too much over there. Let's see if this program does an okay job of it. Sometimes it works okay, sometimes not so well. We'll just make it really big. The bokeh is rather soft over here, so it might work well. Or not. I don't know. I don't think that's good. Let's try it again. Yeah. I think that's a number for Photoshop, I think. It's just a little bit too big. Maybe take down the feather and cover it up. Well, actually, that did miraculously well. So we'll keep that. That looks good. Now let me push the highlights a little bit under the light section. Really make it glow. And now we'll take it over to Photoshop. And this is an image from a previous lesson I did. Really pretty cherry blossoms. All right, super fast. Command J. I'm going to go into Filter, which will be off your screen. Stylize, Oil Paint. The settings that I like are way over on the right-hand side, all of them. And the very bottom one on the left. Hit OK. And what you'll see is that it just makes it look really kind of painterly and soft. I'm going to take this down to about 60% or so, add a layer mask, make sure my brush is black, and then just remove from the little stamens in the middle to make it nice and sharp. And I think that's really good. And the next thing I might do is to go over to my adjustments. It doesn't matter which one. I'm just going to use a soft light layer, so I'll just grab curves for kicks and then go down to soft light. And isn't that pretty? It's like, bam, it just looks great. And so I'm going to lower the amount of soft light that I'm putting on it. Is that not just pretty and sweet? I just think that's so pretty and sweet. It makes me so happy. And I don't know what I'm going to do about the weird looking thing behind there, but it is sort of the story of the day. It is what's going on. You know, there's some fun stuff happening there. I wonder if I could clean it up at all. I'm going to try. So I'm going to do a stamped layer. Command, Option, Shift, E. Gives me a stamped layer. Grab my healing tool. And I am just going to go in here and see if I can get out anything that looks wayward and ugly. That softens it a little bit. I don't know what this blob is. Let's see here. I think that helps a lot. Just getting that weird shape that was sort of in the background off. And let's see if I can soften that a little bit more. Maybe this too. I don't know. It might be making it worse than better. Let's see what it looks like before and after. Yeah, I think I've actually probably made it worse. So let me zoom in, turn this on. I'm going to use my little lasso tool and just kind of go in here and then do layer via copy, filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And I'm just kind of blurring that out a little bit by moving this radius over. It should just blur that. Isn't that cool? It just makes that bokeh nice and soft and not annoyingly ugly. I don't want anybody staring back there when the flower is the main attraction. I might try that actually up here too. Maybe let's blur that out. So I'm going to go down here again, grab my lasso tool and just grab whatever looks ugly, layer via copy, and then go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and just give it a little bit of a kick of that. And it just softens it out, makes it look a little bit less garish. That's pretty cool. And I love the blue and the yellow combination. I think that's really dynamic. So I'm going to just save this out, and that is the edit. You can do this in lots of different programs. Trust me, a soft light layer is available in many apps if you want to go ahead and do it there. I hopefully will have some more tutorials outside of Lightroom and Photoshop of doing similar things as this. But I hope you get out and have fun. Remember, you don't need to use a nice light. You can, but you can try other LED lights or other flashlights. Just get out there and photograph your garden. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.